Eugene, we heard a lot about you in fall camp and just what all you kind of brought to this defense. How did you think your fall camp went, and how excited are you to finally get into game week?
Yeah, I think my fall camp really went really well. I think I showed the coaches what I can do from a physical standpoint. I think the biggest thing for me is continuing to hone in on the mental side of the game. Just being a situational football player, and just think about the situations before they arise. So ultimately, I think fall camp was good. I think it was good for the whole defense. I think we built a lot of chemistry within the defense, and ultimately, I'm excited to play on Saturday. So.
All right, so school's in session, getting ready for the first week of the football season. Just have you noticed kind of a little bit more stir around here? What's it kind of been like as everybody's getting excited for the first game?
Yeah, I think everybody's just on the edge of their seat, excited for the season. I think you can tell it when you're walking through campus, you can just see a lot of people are coming up to the players and how you guys feeling? So I think it's a good thing. I think Coach Freeze and the staff has established it to where the fans are excited and they're bought in, and truthfully the players are bought in as well. We believe everything the coaches have implemented for us, and we're excited to go out there and just show the people what we can do, because ultimately we think we can do really big things.
Eugene, just in the couple of years you've been here, I mean, where would you say you feel like you've grown the most as a player?
That's a good question. I think I've grown the most in terms of physically. I think I've grown in terms of building my body up, and I can't thank Coach Dom and his staff enough. They do a really good job, and oftentimes they, deflect how good of their program is. But their program's phenomenal, and I've seen changes in terms of my own body that I didn't think I would ever get to. So ultimately, I really want to give a big shout out to him and his staff. Physically, I think just within a defensive standpoint, I think I've just grown in terms of trying to understand why defensive coordinators call what they call, and just ultimately playing offensive situations within our heads. So it's the biggest thing with football is really anticipation. You have a lot of guys that are super talented, but I think when you start to anticipate, that's what builds a defense up, and that's why defenses are can be really elite. So I think in terms of anticipation, I'm getting there, but I'm still growing upon it. Yeah.
Eugene, you've had 3 years now in college football, one at North Carolina, 2 here, and you've had 3 different coaching staffs. How difficult is it to go through different coaching staffs, learning their coaching styles, and then just being able to adjust to different philosophies and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think ultimately it's really hard, and it's a big adjustment in terms of you're around these coaches so often, and it's from a standpoint of you're around their families, you're around their kids, and those relationships are established, and then the changes happen, and it's it's really just a fresh start, and it's hard because you built relationships with that coach, and you love that coach, and you wanted everything to work out in the way it did, but ultimately it's hard. It's a hard thing for kids to get adjusted to, but Coach Freeze and his staff, they came in, and ultimately they appeal to our hearts rather than just us as football players, and that's something I can, as a human being, as a man, I can say I truly appreciate, just somebody trying to appeal to, my heart, and I can ultimately play the game harder, knowing that my coach supports me and has my back through anything. So that's a good question.
Eugene, what are you looking for out of this defense as you guys get on the field Saturday, get to play another opponent, and kind of get to show maybe what you guys can do?
Yeah. I think that's another good question. I think ultimately as a defense, we just want to show, what we are capable of and what we know we're capable of. I think we want to execute the defense the way Coach Roberts and the staff, have set the game plan out for us. I think that's the biggest thing, just going out there and, not being caught up in, oh, it's a big game, we're nervous, we're anxious and stuff like that. We're just going out there and executing and not trying to play hero ball. I think the biggest thing is just every person on the defense doing their role and their responsibility the way it was designed within the scheme. And ultimately, I think that will bring the results that we desire for. So.
Yes, Eugene. Was there a point during the offseason, coming off only playing in 4 games last year, where you said to yourself, things are going to change this year for me, and I'm going to really try to find a way to improve myself and get on the field?
Yeah, it was a big reflection piece for me. Last year I was in a state where I was like very upset within myself, just in terms of like how I just didn't get on the field, and to this day I really don't know why that was. So I just made a vow to myself. I made a vow to my family. I said, like, I'm going to establish myself, and I'm going to, work the hardest I've ever worked, and just so I can't be denied. And ultimately, I just thank God for allowing me to go out there and just giving me the strength to try to show some consistency within my game. And ultimately, it's been a good process, and I'm still growing upon it. But I'm just grateful to God that I didn't give up on myself.
Eugene, we see at practice, and we've seen videos of you, running around yelling, "Let's work!" Ton of energy. Where did that come from? Like, why? How did you become that guy for this defense? And just have you always been that guy trying to play?
Nah, that's actually funny you say that. Like, when I first got here, I was kind of like quiet, so I'm sure the guys were like, "Bro, like, who's this guy? Like, who's this guy?" Now he yelling and stuff. So, my first year here, I was a little I was getting adjusted, so I really didn't talk much, and we had vocal leaders within the team like Derek Hall, Owen Papo, and stuff. But I don't know, like, it just came to me one day. I'm like, man, we were working out, and we just lacked a little bit of energy. So I'm just trying to hype people up, get people going, and that's really like how I've been my whole life. But I kind of was in a shell my first year here, so. The energy, the like excitement, the enthusiasm is really just who I am, and that's really I embody that, and then I seem like the team really like now every time I'm walking in the building, somebody's like, "Let's work," They're like, "Eugene, how's it sound? Like, am I getting like, am I close to what, like, does I sound like it?" So I'm like, "Yeah, you getting there," like, so there's a couple like 3 dudes on the team now that are like they can literally like do it the same way I do it. So like. It's good. It's a good feeling.
Who are they?
Who has a Champ? He's a transfer. Mm-hmm. He's really good at it. Zykevious Walker, really good at it. Who else? I feel bad because I wanna shout all of them out. LJ, Lawrence Johnson. Yeah, he's good at it too. So, yeah, I mean, the boys is, they're carrying it on, so it's good.
Eugene, I don't know how much time you guys have had to watch film yet on UMass, but big running quarterback for them. What kind of challenge does that present for you guys?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with, like, a running quarterback is just gap integrity, everybody holding their gaps and being fundamentally sound in that standpoint. I think, they do a lot of good things, and we're not in any sense underestimating UMass or what they can do. They're a really good football team. Like, I watched their game to entirety on Friday or Saturday, whatever day it was. But I watched it into entirety, and I saw a lot of good things out of their team. And, the biggest thing for us is playing to our standard and playing to the standard that we have established, and just executing the game plan. So it's a challenge, having a running quarterback, but we embrace that challenge, and we're excited to play on Saturday.
Just kind of about this defense as a whole, I mean, what's most different about it this year, and what really excites you the most about it in particular?
Yeah, I think Coach Roberts' philosophy and his approach to the game is, like, bar none. Like, he's one of the OGs in the game in terms of defense. Like, his defense has been proven and fundamentally sound for years. So I think the biggest thing is, like, it's an aggressive style of defense. We're going to try to get downhill. We're trying to come down in our gaps and basically, cause havoc on their side of the ball. So I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest thing I've seen in terms of this defense compared to the last defense that we've seen. And it's exciting. Being a linebacker in that system is like, man, it's like you're running downhill. That's what it's designed to be. Like, you're not stagnant. So it's a fun defense to definitely play in.
Eugene, how shocked have you guys been at what Griffin Speaks has been able to do since he got here this summer?
Griffin speaks, man. That's my guy from Baylor. He's a good dude. I'm so like in terms of Griffin and his progression, his development. It's like he first got here. I remember we had a meeting, and it was actually in this room, and I was like talking in front of the team, and I was like, man, like I still want to like learn a lot more about my teammates. And Griffin's actually somebody I pointed out. I was like, you know, I want to learn a little bit more about him, and was a little bit more quiet when he came in, but Griffin, in terms of like being a field general at the safety position, does it to a T, knows the defense, and absolutely like commands the defense when he's out there. It's a you know, a totally different thing when Griffin's out there. He's getting everybody aligned, knows the checks, and he's doing it with efficiency. So, you know, it's good to have him, and is a good addition to our team.
How much has his knowledge of this defense helped you guys, even though he's only been here a couple of months at Auburn?
Yeah, it helped a lot. You know, just seeing things from, you know, from his perspective, and he's in the back end, so he gets a view of the whole defense. You know, we're kind of a little closer, so he helps us out with the coverage. Basically, his coverage, we align the defensive line, but in terms of the coverage piece of it, he's out there commanding us and helping us, and what he says kind of goes, you know. And it's good to have somebody like that you can really trust and lean on, and ultimately just helps out the defense entirely, man. So Griffin, big time. It's a big time pickup.
Hi, Eugene. I'm sure you can remember your first time playing at Jordan-Hare, but what's the anticipation like when you have coaches and players stepping in there for the first time? And then also, are you the kind of player that uses that juice, or do you try to calm yourself down? Because obviously it's an incredible atmosphere on Saturdays.
Yeah, that's one thing I really had to prepare myself for when I came here. Is like, I know people talked about Jordan-Hare, and I'm like, man, like I didn't experience it until last year. But I'm like, man, it's totally different. It's a different experience, different atmosphere. So I think for me personally, I'm one of those guys that I'm fueled by, you know, the rockets going off, the eagle flying. I'm fueled by that. It's exciting to play. That's why you dream for as a kid. You know, that's why we do what we do. You know, we're out there to, you know, we're playing in front of 87,000. So it's like, it's a good experience. You're like, man, like this is something kids dream about all over the world. So ultimately, I embrace it. I know there's a lot of other guys. You know, it's like a little. I know it'll be for like, especially the freshmen, it'll be a little nerve-wracking. But what I would tell them is to just embrace the moment and just be grateful that you get the opportunity to do it. So I like that question too. That's a good question.